Alright guys, so here's an interesting one. Drake and Lil Wayne beefing. See, there's a lot of talk online about Lil Wayne joining the team of Avengers that have assembled to destroy Drake over the last few months. That includes obviously Kendrick Lamar, Metro Boomin, A$AP Rocky, Childish Gambino, potentially Travis Scott, The Weeknd, Rick Ross, Future, JPEG Mafia, the list goes on, and boy is there a lot of people that Drake pissed off. But there's a lot of signs that point to Lil Wayne now disliking Drake. Yes, Lil Wayne, the person that brought Drake in the game, that taught him everything he knows, that gave him the first big look he has, that Drake attributes all of his initial success to. The signs point to Drake's former mentor turning on him. So in this video, we're obviously going to touch on why people believe that Lil Wayne no longer likes Drake, and I'm going to give you guys the true answer to whether or not Drake and Lil Wayne are beefing, because there's a very clear yes or no answer to this question. People seem to be missing the details, but that's what we're here for. We're going to break all of it down and come to the right conclusions. But in order to do that, we got to go back to the year 2010. This was the same year that Drake blew up. He became a massive star. He was about to drop his first album, and in that same year, Lil Wayne, who was on top of the rap game, ushered in guys like Drake, Tyga, and Nicki Minaj. He was about to go to jail. So after just signing a young Drake to Young Money, he basically told Drake, look, I'm gonna be gone for 8 months. I'm gonna be in prison. I can't release music. I need you to carry the weight of Young Money on your back. Drop your first album, become the massive superstar that I know you're gonna be, make me a ton of money, and I'll get out of prison and everything will be all good. But everything wasn't all good. See, if you guys recall on Kendrick Lamar's diss song against Drake, Not Like Us, he rapped the line, slept with Wayne's girl while he was in jail, that's conniving, then get his face tatted, apologizing. Now, this wasn't breaking new information, but what Kendrick's basically talking about here is that when Wayne was in jail, Drake actually went to the jail to reveal to Lil Wayne that he had slept with Wayne's girlfriend at the time, Tammy Torres. Wayne actually wrote about this in his book that detailed his entire time in prison. What he said was, I woke up still feeling messed up about the messed up day that I had. Hell is what it was. I'm used to arguing with my girl daily, but finding out that she slept with Drake was the absolute worst thing I could have found out. As a man, honestly, that hurt. And not because it was Drake, it could have been any man, and it would have hurt the same. She said it happened way before we got together, but she just never told me. When Drake came to see me, he was like, yeah, it's true. Don't mess with her like that, because I did sleep with her. Damn, this is the type of stuff that a man never wants to find out when he's locked up. Or maybe so, because only God knows what I would have done if I wasn't locked up right now. As soon as I found out, I told him to just lock me in, and I've basically just been in my cell for the last couple days. As a man, I'll admit it. That stuff really messed me up. And back in 2011, Wayne actually rapped about this on his album The Carter 4, first on the hit single 6 Foot 7 Foot, where he rapped the lines, had my heart broken by this woman named Tammy, but girls gonna be girls, so I couldn't blame Tammy. He's directly talking about how Tammy broke his heart when he was in jail, and Drake came to him and told him that he had slept with her in the past. He has another song on that album called How to Hate, and he rapped the lines, she used to always say F my guys, and when I went to jail, she F my guys. Well, I guess I'm single for the night. He's again talking about how when he went to jail, he found out Drake slept with his girl, and when he says, I guess I'm single for the night, that's in reference to his song I'm Single, which was actually written by Drake in 2009. But this didn't seem to divide Drake and Lil Wayne. On that album, The Carter 4, the same one where he's talking about how he had his heart broken by Tammy, he also has 2 songs on that album featuring Drake, and him and Drake did a total of 6 records together that year alone, showing that they may not only just share girls, but they also share records, and no woman is going to divide them. No Diddy. Now, I really do want to do a video kind of deep diving their whole relationship, how Wayne ushered Drake in the game, because I don't think he gets enough credit for really being a pivotal role in Drake's career and his success that he has today. But this video will simply cover only the instances of where there might have been tension between the two throughout their careers. So again, in 2010, 2011, even though Drake slept with Wayne's girl, they seemed to be fine, they were collaborating consistently. It was only in 2013 that there were slight rumors that there may have been tension between the two. But it is important to note that these were only just rumors. But yeah, the year's 2013, and at this point, Wayne's kind of kicking his feet up, fizzling out from the massive success that he had between 2007 to 2012. He was dropping more experimental projects like I'm Not a Human Being 2, which Drake was actually featured on, and not so concerned with having the top hits or calling himself the best rapper alive, but more just having fun and again, just enjoying the success that he's already generated and that his artists like Drake and Nicki were continuing to generate. At that same time, Drake was on top of the world, gearing up to drop his next album, Nothing Was the Same. And on that record, he raps the bars, I'm just as famous as my mentor, but that's still the boss, don't get sent for. Basically, he's showing the world world that he believes he's on Wayne's level at this point in his career. When he was promoting his Nothing Was the Same album, he went to Angie Martinez for an interview, and she asked him, where are you at with the team? Where are you at with Lil Wayne and your whole record label? Because while Wayne appeared on 3 songs off of Drake's Take Care album, off the next album, Nothing Was the Same, Lil Wayne was nowhere to be found. And the two weren't collaborating nearly as much as they were beforehand, and Drake is talking all this tough talk like, I'm just as famous as my mentor. So Angie's basically saying, like, where are you at with Wayne and everyone? Because the vibe is that the relationship's kind of been strained. And Drake kind of had an odd response to this. He was kind of blushing at first. He didn't really know what to say. And he responded by saying, I've become my own man, my own entity, and I've never been the guy to basically hang around. So I think it's just become more evident how much I'm not around now because of how busy I've gotten. But I still support Young Money, Cash Money wherever I go. I talk to Birdman, the owner of Cash Money Records, almost every single day. And as far as me and Wayne, I mean, Wayne's a busy guy, but when we connect and see each other, it's always love. And while this response basically showed you that there was no real issue between the two of them, Drake's response didn't seem to carry the same amount of praise or love that his former comments on Wayne carried in previous years. See, obviously, again, Wayne was his mentor. Wayne was the guy that ushered him into the game. So for the first few years that Drake was coming up, he was always extremely appreciative, constantly collaborating with Wayne, citing Wayne as the most important person in his career. But at this point in time, when Angie's asking him where he stands with Wayne currently, he's saying, you know, they're both kind of busy, but it's always love when they see each other. But not, again, emphasizing how important Wayne was in his career. So it didn't seem like there was an issue, but it also didn't seem like Drake was so quick to praise Wayne and shower him in compliments like he used to do. Later in that interview, Angie Martinez starts asking Drake about his record with Jay-Z on that album called Pound Cake. And she was saying, you and Jay-Z have basically developed, you know, a strong relationship. And Drake said, yeah, I think like one of the strongest, if not the strongest, out of any other rapper in the game. And he goes on to say how appreciative he is of Jay's guidance and mentorship and the collaborations that they've done together, and really praises Jay for a good like 2-3 minutes within this interview, while kind of brushing off any questions that she had about Lil Wayne. So, I mean, to put it into perspective, Wayne wasn't on this album, Jay-Z was. Drake goes on this interview, brushes off the fact that there's issues between him and Wayne, doesn't shower Wayne with praises, but goes on to praise Jay as being the most important rapper in Drake's life at the time. Around that same time, Lil Wayne would release his mixtape Dedication 5, and the intro on that mixtape would feature a song with The Weeknd, who had just signed his own deal with Republic Records, something Drake was very upset with because he was trying to sign The Weeknd just a couple months before that. Now, The Weeknd will play an interesting part in this entire story later on. However, again, it's just important to note these little details that, you know, Drake is emphasizing him and Wayne don't see each other as much anymore. He's not showering Wayne with praises. Wayne isn't on his Nothing Was the Same album. Drake is not on Dedication 5, Lil Wayne's mixtape, but instead it features an appearance from The Weeknd, who is now subtly beefing with Drake over record deals. Again, just subtle details, no real beef between the two. And it's also important to note that around the same time, Pusha T was going at Birdman, Lil Wayne, and Drake for being tied together in a horrible record contract. Lil Wayne actually responded to this with a diss track aimed at Pusha T, but we didn't hear anything from Drake about this entire situation at this point in time. He wasn't defending Wayne, he wasn't collaborating with Wayne, but there was, again, no real issue. There was an issue, however, with Wayne and Birdman, as Lil Wayne's Young Money label was an imprint under the Cash Money label, and by 2014, Wayne ended up suing Cash Money for over $50 million, claiming that he wasn't paid profits that he was owed for his music or Drake's music. This lawsuit caused Wayne to be held in like artistic captivity, basically. He wasn't able to release any music, and Drake was super supportive of Wayne at this time, bringing Wayne out at shows, telling him they're going to figure this whole situation out, rapping on the song Summer 16, saying that he might get the key to his home city and give it to Wayne. They even got on a record together, and Drake rapped, "Tell me if TD Bank is approving loans. I'm thinking of paying Wayne what Universal owes. My guy spent a lifetime going platinum and gold. He should own half of the label. This is out of control." A couple years later, Drake would go on to diss Pusha T and Kanye West, engaging in one of the biggest beefs he's had in his entire career. And in his diss record against Pusha and Kanye, he raps, "I told Weezy and Stunna I'ma done him for you." Basically in response to the fact that Pusha T was initially beefing with Lil Wayne and Birdman. As we mentioned before, Lil Wayne actually went on record dissing Pusha T in a song back in like 2012 or 2013. But at this point, it's 2018, and Drake ends up inheriting this entire beef, saying that he's going to send these shots at Pusha T to put the nail in the coffin in honor of Lil Wayne and Birdman. Now, what kind of flew under the radar around this time is that Lil Wayne was actually spotted several times in public with Kanye West. They were spotted at a club together. They were spotted at a wedding together. They were even on the same record together this year in 2024, even though Drake is still currently beefing with Kanye after Ye called for the quote-unquote elimination of Drake. And while Drake was going at Pusha T and Kanye by himself, saying that it was in honor of Lil Wayne was then spotted at clubs with Kanye. But this didn't really mean anything. Wayne wasn't involved in Kanye and Drake's beef, and Drake obviously didn't seem to mind because he was still collaborating with Lil Wayne very frequently, always showing him support and even throwing him a 40th birthday party just a couple years back. So even though Drake was beefing with Kanye, he didn't seem to mind that Wayne had his own friendship with Kanye. And that leads us into where we are today. Now, people think Wayne and Drake are currently beefing for a couple different reasons, and we're going to touch on each and every one of these reasons. Don't forget that when Kendrick dropped his verse on Like That, which was the record that started this entire beef, Drake and Lil Wayne were actually on tour together. This was just a few months ago, back in April of 2024. By June of 2024, Wayne actually said that Drake was in his top 5 rappers of all time. Now, this was a month after Kendrick already dropped his Not Like Us record, where he talks about Drake sleeping with Lil Wayne's girl. So obviously that didn't seem to bother Lil Wayne too much because he's still recognizing Drake as one of his top 5 favorite rappers. On July 14th, Wayne was doing a performance and he was wearing an owl OVO chain that Drake gifted him. And as he was performing his Drake collaboration, The Motto, he started saying, "They don't like us, they don't like us," in the same tune that Kendrick rapped "They Not Like Us" on his diss record against Drake. But he replaced it by saying, "They don't like us," meaning that like Kendrick and his side do not like Drake and everyone in his camp, basically showing his allegiance to Drake. Now, just a couple weeks later, Schoolboy Q tried to do a show in Toronto, Drake's hometown, but it mysteriously got cancelled at the last minute, and he went on Twitter to basically air out his frustrations, kind of blaming Drake for the cancellation of his show and saying that he was disappointed because Top Dawg, the owner of Schoolboy Q and Kendrick Lamar's record label, was actually just with Lil Wayne and Birdman a few months ago in New Orleans. If you guys didn't know, Top Dawg actually had a relationship with Wayne years and years ago back in 2008, where Lil Wayne actually appeared on a record with J-Rock and Kendrick Lamar in 2008, giving them one of their first looks and showing that there was already a business relationship there, and that a lot of this stuff was just simply industry politics. Schoolboy Q is emphasizing that by saying Lil Wayne and Birdman saw Top Dawg, the owner of Kendrick's record label, after the whole beef had occurred, and there was no problems between them. Another thing to note was Mac Main, who's Lil Wayne's childhood friend and the president of the Young Money label, which Drake was signed to and Lil Wayne founded, actually got in a little bit of a back and forth with Punch on Twitter. Punch is one of Kendrick Lamar's associates, and this back and forth happened right after Drake released his song Push-Ups, which was in response to Kendrick's diss on Like That. Again, emphasizing that Mac Main, Lil Wayne, that whole side has allegiance with Drake. But at the same time, Top Dawg and Lil Wayne and Birdman have some sort of business relationship, and this is all just kind of industry politics. There's no real deep beef between either party. The same way that when Kanye and Drake were beefing at the height in 2018, Lil Wayne was still spotted with Kanye, showing that he doesn't necessarily need to get involved in Drake's beefs to still maintain the same relationship that he's always had with Drake. They're not going to start fighting just because Lil Wayne clicks up with one of Drake's ops. But now another reason why people think Lil Wayne and Drake are beefing is because both the artists were at Michael Rubin's white party, but they took no pictures together, and Lil Wayne did an Instagram live where he was basically thanking certain people for interacting with him, and he shouted out Tom Brady, he shouted out Glorilla, along with a couple other people that he said were the only ones that took the time to come and say what's up to him. And people thought this was a slight at Drake, considering the fact that he didn't mention Drake and there was no pictures of the two together. But I want to emphasize how many people actually attend that white party, how many people Wayne probably forgot to mention that he had some sort of small interaction with, how many times Wayne and Drake bump into each other. And when Wayne was shouting people out, he's shouting people out that he's not usually seen with, right? Tom Brady, Glorilla, like these are all people that we've never really seen Wayne taking pictures with or Wayne interacting with. We've seen Wayne and Drake constantly interact together. So it makes sense that Wayne is not shouting out Drake as someone who took the time to come and, say how happy he is to see him there, because it's very often that they see each other. It's the same thing with a guy like Lil Baby or even Jay-Z, right? Lil Wayne made no mention of seeing Lil Baby or Jay-Z at the white party. It doesn't mean that he necessarily has an issue with them. It just means that he forgot to mention them, as they're probably people that he interacts with on a decently frequent basis compared to people like Tom Brady or Glorilla. But then Wayne drops the song Saturday Mornings with Cordae, where people thought he was taking subliminals at Drake's. Wayne raps the bars, "I need more real prayers and less praying hands," and if you guys didn't know, Drake's 6 God symbol is just the praying hand emojis. So Wayne here is kind of making like a double entendre, saying like, I need people actually praying for me and not just sending me emojis, something that's superficial. He also raps, I'm a goat, you're a sacrificial lamb, you're a teddy bear, you're a Teddy Graham. Now, if you guys didn't know, Drake's last name is Graham. So people thought that when he was saying you're a teddy bear, you're a Teddy Graham, he was basically saying to Drake that he's essentially soft and calling Drake out by name because he was making mention of Drake's last name. But in my opinion, this is just an absolute reach. I mean, these sound like classic Wayne bars. Wayne does these punchlines all the time. If you actually listen to Wayne's music, you would know that he's always doing these double entendres, these metaphors. Like, it's very common for Wayne. And a Teddy Graham is something that's sweet, right? And the next bar proceeds to say, you're sweet as jelly ham, honey glazed deli ham, bubblegum candy yams. Like, I think the Teddy Grahams thing, that's just a fluke, right? He's just naming a bunch of sweet foods and stuff to emphasize that whoever he's talking to, his imaginary ops are sweet. But to say he's talking about Drake because he says Teddy Graham is as much of a reach to me as it would be that the next line is him dissing Jay-Z and Kanye West, where he says honey glazed deli ham. If you guys didn't know, Ham was a record Jay-Z and Kanye West put out back in 2011, where Jay-Z was going at Birdman for saying that he has more money than him. Mentioning Ham would be as much of a reach to say that's a diss against Jay-Z and Kanye as mentioning a Teddy Graham as being a diss to Drake. And Lil Wayne's never been the type to drop such like intricate, subtle subliminal disses at anyone. That's Drake's game. When he came at Pusha T, he said F Pusha T and anybody that love him. He didn't say anything subtle. He wasn't talking in code. He said directly F Pusha T. When he was beefing with 50 Cent for a very short period of time, he said, I put syrup in that vitamin water. 50 Cent was a sponsor for vitamin water at the time. It was a very obvious shot at 50 Cent. When he was beefing with Gilly the Kid, he said, I don't have time to deal with Willie the Squid. Wayne, throughout his very short history of beefing with other rappers, which I should do a future video on, let me know in the comments if you want that, but in his short time of beefing with other rappers, he's never done it subliminally. Even after Kanye and Jay-Z dropped that Ham record, Wayne responded pretty directly to them by rapping, I met a bad red bone, I took her home, I asked her what she want to watch, and she said, surely not The Throne. The Throne was the name of the rap duo that Jay-Z and Kanye created. Again, a very, very obvious shot at them, as Wayne is not the type to do the subliminal disses, especially not against his protege. And why would he do this on a record just 2 weeks after saying that Drake is the best rapper alive, or top 5 best rappers alive? The timelines don't line up. And then people were saying that he's beefing with Drake because he did a song with Rick Ross, who is publicly beefing with Drake currently, but that song wasn't put together by Ross or Wayne. That song was put together by DJ Premier. It also featured Big Sean, and it was more like a posse cut. It's the same way how DJ Khaled got Big Sean and Kendrick Lamar together for a track in 2016 when they were kind of subtly beefing, because it wasn't Big Sean or Kendrick who actively went out to seek a collaboration. It was a middleman bringing them together for a record that he already had. Same thing here with DJ Premier. He got Lil Wayne and Rick Ross together on the same song off a record that he probably already had. Did Wayne have to agree to be on this record with Rick Ross? Probably, but you also have to remember the fact that Wayne and Rick Ross had a relationship way before Wayne even knew Drake. They've been collaborating since like 2006, and Ross was very, very vocal when Wayne was going through all his legal troubles and actually made a diss track against Birdman when Lil Wayne was publicly beefing with him. They've always had a relationship. Ross has always defended him and praised Wayne. And even when Drake was beefing Meek Mill, who was signed to Rick Ross, so obviously as a result, Rick Ross kind of inherited that beef, and Rick Ross and Drake weren't getting along publicly, Lil Wayne and Rick Ross still had that relationship. They were still cool, they were still collaborating, showing you that, again, this stuff is industry politics, and Wayne doesn't necessarily have to inherit all of Drake's beefs. He could still be cool with people he was cool with in the past, even if Drake is beefing with them. He showed you that with Kanye West in 2018, he showed you that with Rick Ross in 2016, and he's showing you that again in 2024 by being on the same song as Rick Ross, even though it wasn't necessarily an intentional collaboration, and being in the same venue as Kendrick Lamar's associate, Top Dawg. Now, something Wayne did that people are really saying is a sign that he's beefing with Drake is the fact that in a new music video he just released, he's wearing an XO chain. XO is The Weeknd's record label, the same record label that Drake wanted ownership in way back in the day. And The Weeknd is another artist who is currently beefing with Drake very, very publicly. I would argue they have a more intense beef than Kendrick and Drake actually do at this very moment. So people took this as a blatant disrespect from Wayne against Drake, showing his allegiance to the other side. However, again, I think people are just forgetting history. First of all, Lil Wayne and The Weeknd have had their own collaborations, their own relationship outside of Drake. They did a record together in 2021. They did a record together that I mentioned earlier in this video back in 2013 when Drake was very publicly beefing with The Weeknd. And again, it makes sense that they have their own relationship to the point where The Weeknd gifted Lil Wayne his own XO chain. It's like when Drake and Chris Brown were beefing back in 2012 over Rihanna and Lil Wayne was still collaborating with Chris Brown. He was laughing off that beef, saying it was about nothing, and he very blatantly did not pick a side, instead collaborating with both artists. I believe it's the same situation here. Just because Lil Wayne has his own relationship with The Weeknd doesn't mean he's going to scrutinize it just because Drake and The Weeknd don't get along currently. And vice versa. I don't think Drake is going to scrutinize his relationship with Lil Wayne just because Lil Wayne is interacting with The Weeknd. It would seem extremely petty, but also just not congruent with history. Drake has not gone along with Kanye Wes, but Lil Wayne and Kanye still seem to get along. Drake wasn't getting along with Rick Ross. Him and Lil Wayne still seem to get along. It's the same exact thing with Chris Brown, and I believe now it's the same exact thing with The Weeknd. If you want to put it into perspective as well, when Lil Wayne and Birdman were beefing over money that was actually rooted in profits that Lil Wayne was owed for revenue that Drake's music generated, Drake still maintained his relationship with Birdman and with Lil Wayne. It didn't put any strain in either of their relationships just because Lil Wayne and Birdman were beefing. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that, like Drake said back in 2013, him and Lil Wayne are very busy. When they link up, it's always love, but they're very busy. So as a result, they form their own relationships within the industry. And they might not get along with different people, but it doesn't mean that they have to inherit each other's beefs. And just because Lil Wayne has his own relationship with The Weeknd and has a chain from The Weeknd and is rocking it, does not mean that he now no longer gets along with Drake. To emphasize this even further, the song that has the music video with Wayne rocking the XO chain is a song that also features Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty is one of Drake's best friends in the music industry. Do you really think that Lil Yachty would be on a song with an artist who blatantly is dissing Drake? Drake's profile picture on Instagram is also still a picture of Lil Wayne. He also posted pictures of him and Lil Wayne on his new Instagram account called Plot Twist. I mean, why would he be showing Wayne all this love to this very day if him and Wayne are beefing, right? Wouldn't he take down that picture on his Instagram? Wouldn't he change his profile picture if him and Wayne were really beefing?
Also, Lil Yachty mentioned on a podcast all the way back in April that he had a song coming with Lil Wayne. So he was probably referencing this song back in April. And on that podcast in April, he also said that him and Wayne recorded this song months ago, meaning that this song was probably created months before the beef between Kendrick and Drake even started, which means the music video where Wayne is wearing that XO chain also was probably filmed months and months ago, way before Drake and Kendrick or The Weeknd ever had a beef. So Wayne wearing that XO chain plays no significance in his relationship currently with Drake.
Also, I mean, just a month and a half ago, Wayne was saying that Drake is top 5 rappers of all time. Why would he be saying that if him and Drake don't get along? A lot of this stuff is common sense. I didn't even think it was worth it to do a video on this stuff. I actually have a whole separate video detailing Lil Wayne and Drake's back and forth with Jay-Z over the years, because there was actual, like, if not beef, then at least some sort of tension or issue at one point in time. But between Lil Wayne and Drake, it's pretty obvious that Lil Wayne just kind of keeps himself removed from everything that's going on. I mean, he's emphasized millions of times that he only listens to his own music. He's in his own world. He doesn't really keep up with hip hop. He's skating. He's doing his own thing. He doesn't play politics. He doesn't do these sneaky subliminal disses. Like, he's in his own world and he has his own relationships with artists that may or may not be beefing with Drake. But just because he doesn't mean that he's dissing Drake in any of these instances. And again, I didn't want to do this video, but I did think it was worth it to clear the air because I have seen people trying to twist these narratives. But if you know their relationship, if you know who Wayne is as an artist, who he's always been, then it's pretty obvious that he's not beefing with Drake here. It would be a big stretch to say that he is, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And I'm sure you guys will call me a glazer in the comments because everyone wants to see the downfall of Drake. And I mean, I think it's super entertaining. I would love to see him go back and forth with Kendrick again. But other than that, I don't really need to see him go back and forth with Wayne. I'd actually love to see him and Wayne finally drop that collaboration tape that they've been teasing for the last like 15 years together. I grew up in the Lil Wayne era, so to me, Drake plays a pivotal role in that. As much as I'm not a fan of Drake's current music, I've always loved his collaborations with Wayne. BB King, I think, is their most recent one, and that song is exceptional. Highly suggest you check it out if you never heard it. And I'd honestly rather see them collaborating together rather than beefing. And I think it's a big stretch to say that they are beefing. Especially, again, I want to emphasize the most important thing. Wayne said that Drake is in his top 5 best rappers of all time. Just a month ago. Why would he say that if he's beefing with Drake? Doesn't make any sense. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you want to see next. Do you want me to do a full breakdown on Lil Wayne and Drake's relationship, how Wayne found Drake, how he helped him come up, why he plays such an important role in Drake's career? Let me know if you want that. Let me know what you want to see next. Hit a little subscription, a little like, comment what you think on their whole relationship, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.